All right. So in the last one, I talked about how I am gonna have to change my training, like my lifting protocol, actually just my training in general, because if I'm competing in what are we at? We had it's March 8th, so we have 3 weeks and some change until I'm potentially competing. And I know I keep saying potentially because, like I said a couple times, I just, the fact that it's a no gi comp is kind of having me second guess it. And, you know, at the end of the day, I probably will do it. I most likely do. I'm changing all this stuff to it. I'm going to drop some weight. I'm putting a halt on my bulk. So I'm most likely going to do it. I don't see why I won't. I just need to get over that thought process of like, I don't do enough no-gi, therefore I shouldn't do it, even though I do some, and I am altering the training to ultimately do it more often. So, along those lines, this is kind of this is kind of like what I'm looking at here. So I'm changing the lifting schedule, and the lifting schedule is going to look like it's going to be 3 to 4 days. 3 days for sure. 4 days is like an optional if I have the time, energy, and I just feel like I need to get more work done during the week. I'm putting that fourth one as an optional. So what I'm looking at for strength training is push pull legs, and then the optional is an ox day or basically a full body day. So I'll revert back, hit everything I really didn't touch on the 3 days prior. So say like my leg day was heavy quads and whatnot, like squats and extensions and some lunges and stuff like that, but more geared towards the quad area and the squatting movement. So then that ox day, I'll throw in a few more leg days or leg exercises like RDL or good mornings or anything like even deadlifts, like stuff like that, like more of a hinge movement. Kind of my overall look at it is that if I at least hit 3 days of push pull legs and then sprinkle in, the mobility work, the core work, stuff like that into it, I should hit pretty much everything I need to hit. And you may look at that and be like, hey, aren't you supposed to be hitting things 2 times a week or whatever like that to see real gains? Yes and no. So it depends on intensity, how much volume I'm doing with that intensity, and what I'm doing on the outside. So if I'm just hitting 3 days and that's it of strength training, just because of how long I've been doing this, it probably is not enough volume or intensity. Though intensity can be ramped up and strength gains you can do like one movement a week with enough intensity and see some strength gains. So to see strength and size gains, it should be enough as long as I'm pairing it with that potential fourth day and then all the jiu-jitsu stuff I'm doing on the side. So it's not like I'm not training on the side or beside the strength training. Like I'm still doing work, especially with the more sports specific like jiu-jitsu stuff, like running drills, shots, techniques, going the actual rolls, using some movement stuff. So I'm still using my body and the muscle groups. So it's just obviously it's more body weight prone and not as, the load isn't as high, but I'm still putting in work that supplements the strength training. So if you're building a program and you also do some sort of sport that takes a lot of energy, a lot of time, stuff like that, but you're still really wanting to build strength and size, it's okay to have a few days of just strength training where you really push it and you aim for that strength and that freaking size building, but you don't want to overdo it, because if you overdo the strength training along with your sport and really focusing a lot on your sport, there's going to be some diminishing returns. It's going to start fighting each other. So you can do it. You just need to learn how to balance and figure out what that right one is. Like with the amount of jits I was doing, so like, 2, 3, sometimes 4 times a week, here and there. With the split I was doing, at least hitting what I was hitting the gym at least 4 to 5 times a week, with those at least 3-ish sessions of jiu-jitsu during the week. I recover's fine. I was still building size and stuff like that through the bulk, especially with the surplus of food. But like the jiu-jitsu wasn't so, because there's a lot more training and intention that comes when you decide you want to do like an actual competition, because you have to focus in. I need more hours than I was doing in that sport. I need to focus more on that. I need to not only practice like the techniques, but I need to do the movement patterns. I need to actually roll more often. I need to do what we call positionals. There's these things that start ramping up, and it's more intentional. So when something becomes more intentional, it takes more of your energy and time. So pretty much I'm finding my balance as I'm pretty sure at least 3 days a week, if I do a push-pull legs, I might be sore-ish, and like a little fatigued, but not to the point where I can't recover and I don't have any issues with like class and stuff like that. So I think this will be good, and I'm going to tweak it if recovery starts stalling, or I just feel like I have to give one or the other, at least for now, because like we pointed out, it's like 3 weeks, right? 3 weeks is not that big of a deal. If I only did jiu-jitsu for the next 3 weeks, it's not that big of a deal. A lot more would go into it, be more like what we call intentional and stuff. However, I obviously praise strength training with sport. I think it makes you a better athlete, if not better just technique-wise, but more explosive, stronger, a little more durable, stuff like that. So I don't want to fully drop strength training. There's no reason to, because there's a way to find a balance. Even if like take what I'm doing now and I had to split the workout in half, like every session in half, where I'm only doing like maybe 30 minutes a day, like that's still better than not doing anything at all, and going into it. I just, like at the bare minimum, resistance training strengthens your all your connective tissue, so your muscle, your tendons, your ligaments, helps your joints out, your bones, all that stuff. It makes it all more durable, more flexible, better, depending on what it is. And that's a hard piece to not plug in if you're an athlete. Just my 2 thoughts. So anyway, what we're gonna do is we're gonna start today with the push and just start doing the cycle through here. I was in the middle of the other cycle. Let me see here. So I was on day 4, and then the next day was supposed to be like a deadlift day and whatnot. So I'm just gonna go into the new system and do the push, pull, and legs from here on out. So today will be more of a push day. I am deciding, so not only with the training, like the strength training, I'm also trying to decide how I'm going to structure all the jiu-jitsu classes and all that stuff. So because I need to make it to more no-gi classes that are actually taught by an instructor at the gym. I need to change the days that I'm actually going to class, because the two main classes I was going to that have like tons of people, they don't have no-gi that day. So I have to switch. I have to revert to Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays for if I want an actual no-gi class. So that's what I'm kind of aiming for. And then I'm gonna still structure Saturdays. They've always been like a no-gi class for me, but it's just been like, messing around and working on techniques and stuff. So Saturday's gonna remain the same, and I'm going to figure out, because I want to make it to one of the bigger classes a week still, even though it's gi, because during the rolling section I'm just gonna do no gi. It'll be fine. I'll just take off. I'll learn the technique in gi, and then I'll go into rolls the following hour with no gi. Just ask the guy that I'm gonna roll with, and then see if he, especially if he's a higher belt, I'll ask him if he can show me how to change that move I just learned in gi, just to make it work in no gi. So most movements in jiu-jitsu I found, they transfer over. Like you can do them either in gi or no gi. The big difference is gripping. So the gi gives you a lot of grips because you have all that cloth on. So there's a lot of things to grab onto. As for no gi, we have really just the grips of, like, if you watch wrestling or no wrestling or whatever, you have like the necktie where you can wrap around someone's neck. You can grab wrists. I mean, you can grab really anywhere, but the big grip areas are like the wrist, the ankle, some of the joint areas, and then the neck, just because you can these parts you can hook on. So I have that stopper there because they're hand. So it's the same concept around, but it just changes up the technique going from gi to no gi because of those grips. So I'm gonna figure that out. I'm gonna go to one of those classes a week, and because that second part, it's a full hour or more of just straight rolling, which is like our sparring, and you just learn so much when you're doing a live roll, live spar, that to help you apply the technique and actually feel when someone's fighting back, it's worth doing. So I want to go to one of the classes that have tons of people that go to the gym. So the other days have a good amount of people that show up. It's just the no-gi classes and those Mondays and Fridays at least are a lot smaller classes, which is great for like learning technique and stuff, but it's nice to have a bunch of people to work the stuff that you're learning and whatnot on. So anyway, I'm gonna shoot for figuring that schedule out. So I might just go to class tonight. So I'm gonna just eat my words here, depending on what I do. I know I just said that I was gonna start with the push day today, but I might just go to jiu-jitsu and then figure it out from there. I know you can do both, but I've been working today, and especially been working on all this. So in the next few seconds, you're gonna find out what I decided to do. If that's jiu-jitsu, I'll do an outro video. If that's lifting, you're about to see a clip of lifting. All right, so we're finished up with the gym. Today was a short one. I think I only did 4 movements, and I'm pretty sure I only recorded 3 of them. So it was okay. It was an hour and some change. So not like a short workout. I actually just did a ton of incline press. I did a bunch of shoulder pressing. I did on the machine today. I really like that machine I was using today, but it honestly, I like it because it hits my shoulders really well, but also I feel a lot of it in my triceps, and that could honestly be just because it's an accessory movement. Every time I do a push day with that machine, it's the triceps are already fatigued, or they're starting to take over as the working piece because my shoulders or chest aren't working. Who knows? And then I did some flies. The flies were good. I just did high incline. I did a ton of sets of that, and I just did like sets of 12. I didn't go super heavy overall. Besides, I did do 225 on the incline for sets of 8 until I couldn't, and that started becoming pretty taxing. Like that was definitely creeping up, and you can tell in the few clips that I have that I was fatiguing out. The last one I didn't even record, which I probably should have, but I'm pretty sure I failed, or basically was failing at like 3 or 4. I was able to rack it on the short pieces, like the short stack or pins, I guess. I don't really know what to call them. I was able to stack them on there because I couldn't get it all the way up. And then story of my life, right? And then I dropped down to a plate and I revved out. I think I went a little wider grip too, but I only got like 6, and I think the 6th one was pretty shoddy. So fatigued on incline press, and then went over to the shoulder press machine, which is really nice. It just, honestly, I really like it because I feel the full stretch and pull in my shoulders. I feel the press in my triceps along with my shoulders, but then also in that stretch part, I feel a bit in my chest, and I really like that. I like that I get a full, it feels like I have a full range, you know, throughout all these pieces connecting. That's just me. I don't know. And then the flies were just to, get something that was really stretching everything out, because a lot of the two things I did were heavy pressing movements. I could have probably went longer, did some more, but I don't know. I've been sleep has been a little weird the last, I don't know, like 2 or 3 days. So I feel like my recovery's been a little whack, and it might be like in conjunction with increasing my jiu-jitsu time. And like I've talked about before, most of the jiu-jitsu classes and all that stuff that I can make, or that my gym really even has, is pretty much all evening classes. I know they have a couple kind of early morning ones, and I can try to figure out how to make that work. But the other issue with those ones is it's kind of like that mid-morning. So like, I have work, but then I'm sure I can move a client or two around, but I don't know. I'm going to try to work that out. Just like I talked about at the beginning of this video, I'm trying to figure out the scheduling, like with not only jiu-jitsu, but the training and stuff like that. I mean, like, because I need to be able to strength train, and I need to make sure I'm not having, because like right now it's like I'm getting a late ass lift in. I started at 7:30 and I left at 9, so it's a pretty late lift, and I've gotten a couple of those now, and lifting super late is not my thing. Jiu-jitsu late isn't that big of a deal, but I'm definitely not a fan of the late lifts. They don't do well with me. So like now it's 9, I gotta go up there, I gotta shovel down some food, I gotta get ready for bed, stuff like that, I gotta shower. This late lifting is not the best. So